Hey everybody, and we're starting our translation. We go sleep right now. So welcome everybody. And today we're gonna talk about the pairwise testing techniques on an example on Lola Run movie. Give me a moment. Okay. Okay, let's start. Before we start our webinar, let me introduce myself for those who are for the first time here on our webinars. I'm Lily Ormazova. I'm a chief mentor for the Mentorpiece Software Testing School. The information about our school you could find on the slide and below the video. And right now it's time to start our webinar. As always, let me tell you a short synopsis of the film, because the film is very interesting from my point of view, but it is from 1998, and probably not everybody saw this great movie. This is an action movie about some crazy pair from Germany, Lola and Manny. And the movie starts from a call that Lola receives from her boyfriend Manny, who lost a huge amount of money. He lost 100,000 Deutsche Mark in the subway, and this money belongs to a very bad guy. And Lola has only 20 minutes to find this sum and to meet Manny. Otherwise, he promised to rob the story. Maybe this idea looks not very interesting, but the headlight of the film is we have three possible outcomes of Lola's attempt to get the money, and not all of which necessarily result in a happy ending. And every time the previous outcome ends, the film returns to the beginning and another variant starts. While Lola is running and trying to find money, some minor events appear and change the result drastically. Lola has a father who is a CEO in a big bank, and in the beginning of the film, she decides to meet her father and to ask for help, to ask for taking some money from a bank. And she is running towards the bank. So she has only 20 minutes to find father and to get the money. The first outcome of film begins from the first checkpoint. When Lola is running downstairs, she meets some scary dog. So dog scares Lola. This is the first checkpoint. This is the first minor event. Then Lola bumps into a woman with a carriage, refuses to buy a bike from one guy who promised to sell the bike near the bank, then bumps into a car and provokes not very serious incident, then enters a bank and passes the banker without any conversation. And while Lola is running during this first outcome, her father is talking to his mistress who is pregnant by him. So Lola appears in the middle of this conversation. Lola's father refuses to give her money, and she decides to run to Manny without money and think about what to do together. Lola passes some ambulance car. Lola and Manny decide to grab the store, and police comes and shoots Lola. So at the end of this first outcome, Lola dies and goes back to the variant number 2, to the beginning of the film again. In the second outcome, we have the same events, but with a bit different results. Lola, trapped by this scary dog, again bumps into a woman with a carriage, accuses the guy of stealing a bike near the bank, bumps into a car, but a bit different way, and provokes a death of a driver of this car. Then enters the bank and in this variant of reality speaks with the banker. Then decides to kidnap her dad and rob the bank. Police again comes to arrest somebody, but decide that Lola is not guilty. So Lola, without any other things, is running further and occasionally causes ambulance crash, and this ambulance car kills many. So in this variant of reality, many dies and goes back to the version number 3. In the third outcome, Lola jumps over dog, passes woman with a carriage, buys this bike near the bank. Lola nearby hit by the car, but without any crash. Enters the bank and speaks with the banker, but doesn't catch that in this type of reality. And she decided to go to the casino and won money in this casino. So with this needed sum of money, she's running further, catches the ambulance, and while she is running in this variant of reality, money gets money from a robber. And we have a happy end, and this pair have a double sum of money. So we have 3 variants of the reality and 3 ends of the film in one movie. So why are we talking about the pairwise testing right now, and how the pairwise testing could help us if we decided to test this film, this combination of events? In the film, we have only 3 combinations shown, but what if we have more variants of everybody's life? How to test them, how to find that happy ends, and how to avoid death at the end? What is the result of each combination? We have a list of minor events on the way of Lola's run, and we have 2 or 3 variants of each event. Lola could be scared or trampled by a dog, or could jump over the dog. Lola could bump into a carriage, or could pass the carriage without any incident. Lola could reject the bike, could accuse the biker, or could buy a bike. Lola could be hit by a car, could provoke a crash, or no incident. Could pass or speak with a banker. Ergers kidnap or don't catch that. Go or don't go to the casino, and could pass or catch the ambulance, or could provoke a crash. So what is the result of each combination of each parameter? Will Manny or Lola die when we will have some other combination, or we will have a happy end of this film? To test every combination of these actions, we need to check 1944 combinations to find all the happy ends. Let's suppose that we are to find defect combinations. The combinations where Lola or many dice we consider as the defect ones. And of course, we have no time to check all the 1944 combinations. The pairwise testing could help us to test everything, but without spending time of checking all these 1944 combinations. What is the idea of pairwise testing? I will read a bit, sorry. Most faults are caused by interactions of at most two factors. Pairwise generated test suits cover all combinations of two, therefore are much smaller than exhaustive ones, yet still very effective in finding defects. Sounds a bit complicated, but let me rephrase in some simple words. Let's be back to the film. This is the first outcome, and possibly the death at the end was because of dog scared Lola, and Lola passed the banker because of a combination of these particular two values of possible parameters of event, not combination of 5 events, not combination of all the events, but the combination of some 2 events. This is the cause of the death at the end if we accept the idea of a pairwise testing. In the second outcome, many deaths at the end, that's because of Lola bumps into a carriage and kidnaps her dad, for example. Not the combination of all the events. If we, again, accept the idea of pairwise, we should, firstly, understand what events do we have. For each event, make a list of variants. Then use some pairwise tool to create such list of combinations where each factor combines which is factor at least once. And let me reshare the screen to show you the explanation of this. It is very difficult to use your mind to combine everything and to count all the possible combinations of every 2 factors. That's why we, if we are talking about the pairwise testing, we usually use some special tools which will count everything instead of us. This is the most simplest tool, the online tool with this URL. You could use it as well, pairwise.teremokgames.com. And what should we do here? We should write all their events from the film. I called the events like dog, woman with a carriage, bike, car, banker, dad, casino, and ambulance car. And all the variants under all the events. So for the dog, we have 3 variants of events and so on. And firstly, let me show you how will all the combination look like. This is the Excel file generated by this Pairwise online tool. To generate it, we could just press this button, generate all combinations. And this is the result of this counting. We have that 1944 combinations that I told you about. And you could see that this is too much for us. But if we will use the pairwise, here to use the pairwise, we could just press this button, generate pairwise. And this is the result of counting. We have only 29 combinations to test. So every parameter we could meet here with every other parameter at least one time, like trumped by dog with crashed by car, jumps over a dog with passing the banker, and so on. And the idea here is some of combination will affect the life and will cause the death of many or Lola, or will cause a happy end of this story. So everything we should do is to test 29 variants of the film. Of course, in such case, our film will be much longer than the original one, but not that long as for all the combination. So for all the combination, probably we have some Santa Barbara, and for 29 combination, like a short series. Of course, we could use this method not for testing some films or creating some long series, but in the real life, in the real software testing as well. We could use the pairwise testing, for example, if we have a big form in web UI with a lot of fields, with a lot of variants, how this or that field could look like length of the field, symbols in the field, some data, some font, and so on. To test all the combination, we could use the pairwise testing. Very useful thing is the pairwise is very useful thing for the configuration testing when we should check the combination of a list of operating systems and the list of browsers. To check everything, we will use the pairwise testing. It could be even used for the security testing when we are to check combinations of user roles, like here. So this is a very useful approach, and you could definitely apply this approach for your application testing project. I shown you the most simple tool, but there are some more tools with more complex algorithms, more strict results, and so on. And here on the slide, some of them are listed, like Genie, Test Cover, TVG, Picked, Hexavise, and all pairs. The most popular from this list are Picked and all pairs. And all the pairwise tools are listed here on pairwise.org site, and you could go there and read more about this interesting approach. And actually, that's all for now. And I'm ready to answer your questions, if any. Let me check on the YouTube channel. If we have any questions here in the chat. I have only one question here about the language of the webinar. Yes, Alexander, our current language, as you already guessed, is English. And I remember that we should write it in our Telegram groups. But anyway, thank you for your question, and welcome to the future webinars in Russian. I will wait a bit for some other questions. Let me check. Okay, seems that that's all for now. No more questions. But if you watch this video as a recording, please welcome to our Telegram channel with questions, and feel free to ask, and I would be glad to answer your questions anytime. Thank you, everybody, for participating in today's webinar, and